call to order the meeting of the Southeast Polk School Board, January 8th, 2026. Lacey, could I get a roll call, please?
Sure. Chad.
Here.
Brett.
Here.
Bridget. Here. Kelly. Lori.
Here.
Grant.
Here.
Tracy.
All right, letter B, agenda adoption. Dr. Lupnick, are there any changes to the
There are
agenda?
none.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you.
Second.
Give Tracy a minute here.
Okay. All right. Brett.
Yes.
Bridget. Yes. Kelly. Not here. Lori.
Yes. Agenda.
Grant.
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
And Chad.
Yes. All right, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You let me catch your breath there.
All right, thank you. The next item is the district vision and mission. Bridget, would you mind reading that?
Sure. Southeast Polk will learn, lead, live, success for college, career, and civic life, engaging all students in learning a challenging curriculum delivered through quality instruction.
Thank you, Bridget. All right, letter E, public comments. It looks like we have the Southeast Polk cheer team here. Would you guys like to come up and say a few words? Sure. Thank you. State champions, I should say, once again.
I'm the head coach, Marcy Kazee. I just want to thank you guys for taking the time to recognize the girls for their accomplishments this past year. This is our 6th state title, so we're pretty excited. Southeast Polk has never had that for cheer since it started, so we're pretty excited. We're excited to where the program's going, which we could not do without the support of this amazing community and the amazing administration and our coaching staff. Tori Monroe, who does all our choreography, she is incredible, huge value to our program. Alyssa Turnquist, Taylor Lynch, and Alexa Rode. We couldn't do any of this without them, as well as our parents who are unbelievably supportive. And of course the girls. We have a team of 25 for our competition team, but we're pretty busy. So we have wrestling tonight, they've had basketball, we have girls in all-stars, and jobs, so they're kind of all over the place. So we have a few of them here tonight to represent the team, and we just want to thank you for all of the support.
Girls want to say anything?
No? Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you.
So we don't move the podium this time, can we maybe everybody will shift over this way for a picture?
See, I'm not the only one that's a problem with podium here.
Do I need to stand on a chair?
You want to be in?
I'm the hazard of being. Okay.
Okay, the high cheerleaders move this way, just hold it, yep. Perfect. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, I'm gonna move in, I'm not that close, but. Okay, here we go again, 1, 2, 3, and one more just in case. Everybody smile. There we go. Thank you. Congratulations.
I just went for it. It's coming. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so public comments. Board recognizes the value of public observation and hearing from individuals in the school district matters. It is also important that the board be able to conduct its meetings in an orderly and efficient manner, free from outside interference. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. However, this time limit may be modified if the pressure of business or other circumstances dictate. During public comment, the role of the board is to listen. Therefore, board members will only receive comments and will not respond to questions or otherwise engage in discussion with speakers. Speakers who make comments are responsible for their own statements and may be subject to legal action for those that are threatening or defamatory in nature. It is expected that speakers will address the board and each other with civility. I have one card here. Is there anyone else that would like to speak today? Okay. Julie Dewar.
Good evening. Okay, when this began, I was simply asking questions. Oh, wait, do I need to state my address and start over?
Yeah, if you could say your name and address.
Yep.
that'd be great. Thank you.
Julie Dewar, 1925 Southeast 82nd Street, Runnels, Iowa, 50237. Okay, when this began, I was simply asking questions about a challenging curriculum for my then freshman, 7th grader, and 4th grader. What I didn't realize at the time was how much larger this issue truly is. After the most recent board meeting and the presentation from the curriculum team, it became clear that this is not just an isolated concern, but a systemic curriculum issue affecting the students in our district. So after the last presentation, here are my top 3 takeaways and questions to follow up on. Number 1, the curriculum team shared that the 8th grade students can choose now advanced courses for 9th grade if they are not identified through the matrix. Thank you to the board for bringing this topic forward and listening to families, and to our administration for making changes in favor of students having the ability to choose. Going forward, I hope that we will be able to make these courses visible in Zello so that students can select them rather than relying on an additional step, such as a form emailed to students. This current process raises 2 concerns. First, how many students may never ever complete that form? And second, parents are asked to approve 4-year plans without full transparency, as advanced course options are not visible and it is unclear which courses their child will ultimately be enrolled in. Second area is the identification of students. It is possible that our identification system at the elementary system could be flawed. Using Math Stars as the example, of the 15 identified students, only 6 were placed in the advanced pathway, while 9 remained in the core pathway. Some of those 9 students had significant parent advocacy, even with teacher support, to access more rigorous instruction. During the presentation, Ms. Latham noted that students were not making a year's growth in 9th grade ELA. That was that chart with the 0 line. And it was not a building or an instructional issue, but a systems issue. Yet the data showed that after the realignment, students even at the lower end of the achievement scale made great gains despite not being identified in the matrix. So if this is not an instructional or a building change, my question is, what shifted so significantly to drive growth across the board? Additionally, she referenced a drop in 9th grade ELA performance. In grades 6, 7, and 8, students received 90 minutes of ELA every single day. In 9th grade, that drops to 90 minutes every other day. So that change alone probably deserves a little closer examination. In regards to elementary math acceleration, general ed teachers are currently responsible for meeting those needs. They teach grade level math to their entire class and provide accelerated instruction for the students who require it. That practice is currently happening in classrooms this year.
Julie, we're at time
Yep,
if you want to wrap
I'll
up.
finish next time. Thank you.
All right, that closes the public comments today. On to the consent agenda.
Motion to approve?
Second.
I'd like to say something
Sure.
first. It goes along with all those that have chosen early retirement. We truly do appreciate your many, many, many years of service. When you add up all those that are retiring early at the end of this year, I just want it to be known that whatever part you played in our school district, it mattered to each and every one of those students. And your years of service are very much appreciated. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Sums it up.
All right. Lacey?
Bridget?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes, yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Chad.
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
All right, on to new and old business. Letter A, dropout prevention at-risk plan. This is the programming that we plan to use the money for. We have to approve this every year, so can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, questions? No? All right, Lacey?
Lori.
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Chad.
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Bridget. Yes.
All right, letter B, dropout prevention at risk, modified supplemental amount. This is the funding part of it.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any questions, comments? No? All right, Lacey?
Brett.
Yes.
Chad.
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Bridget. Yes.
Okay, letter C, elementary schools playground improvement project architect agreement. Can I get a motion?
I'll move that we pass. Approve.
There's no agreement, though. We're just,
Oh,
Yeah, we don't have a formal agreement, but the motion would be to approve Newman Monson Architects as the architect.
okay. I
Do you want to say it, Lori?
no,
Oh.
I'm letting her say it.
Okay. I will move that we approve the Newman Munson Architects for the playground improvement project.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Legal counsel does have the agreement on hand. We have agreed with pricing with Newman Monson, so it's just the form of the agreement itself that's still being worked through. This is our first project with Newman Monson Architects, so it's their use of the forms that we have are a little bit different, so it's just taking a little bit more time with our attorneys with that. Any questions?
Yeah, could you talk a little bit about the timeline
Yeah,
for
a
the
little bit.
playground project?
Yeah, you bet. So the way that we approached this was, after looking at sort of the scope of everything that we wanted to address across the district, we felt that it was appropriate to have some type of a comprehensive plan so that we have an equitable approach to the way that we're addressing issues at all the buildings. So we felt that it was probably in the best interest to go ahead and bring a firm on, and we went ahead and are obviously moving forward with Newman Monson. It is going to be a phased approach, because I think one of the things, and I believe it's actually included in the agenda item, there's sort of a time frame that's given of sort of the cycle that we'll be working through. The first phase is really going to be involved or engaged with community involvement and actually going to buildings, visiting with kids, visiting with parents, visiting with members of the community, so that we have, again, sort of a comprehensive approach to the way that we're going to address improvements at each facility. That's going to take a little bit of time, and we feel that that's probably the most important element of this entire initiative, is to get that feedback and to actually produce what it is that the community and our schools would like to see. So what we'll see is that work taking place through the spring, through the summer, and then sort of the large recommendations for improvements, whether district-wide or facility-specific, sort of coming at this point. We're anticipating the latter part of the summer, so that we'll then go out to bid and start procuring some of those larger elements, play pieces, ground coverings, things like that after that. Coincidental to that, though, we also want to be able to go ahead and get as much done to sort of pave the ground, so to speak, not literally paving, but to sort of lay the groundwork as we go into this summer. So we'll be working with Newman Monson, we'll be working with our Building and Grounds Department to identify some specific improvements at each facility. It's not going to be the new play equipment. It may not be the ground covering yet this summer, but it will be things like redefining play area spaces. It'll be new fencing. It will be addressing some of the accessibility issues in terms of just simply even being able to go in and, maybe pour some new concrete ramps or some things like that so that we can actually provide better access to the existing spaces. That will then sort of feed on to the next level, which will take place again next fall and into the following spring.
Okay, so basically, the original plan was we were gonna try to get a lot of the work done this summer, right, 2026. But we feel like it's the right approach to have a more comprehensive view of all of our playgrounds, talking with Newman Monson, figuring out, getting input from the community, from the PTAs and
Correct.
everybody, and then coming up with a holistic plan so that we can approach this and be equitable and get as much as we can for the money that we're spending.
Get as much as we can for the money that we're going to be investing. One of the other key elements of this process was working to identify a way that we have good transparency with our community and actually having a plan that we can put forward that says, this is what we're going to do, this is why we're going to do it, this is how it's going to get done, and this is how it's going to be beneficial for the community. And we, as we went through this process and met with folks in buildings and members of the community, just sort of in the run-up to everything, we felt that we would probably be doing the best service for the community and for the district if we had, again, sort of that plan that we can put forward. And that's going to take a little bit of time, but we're definitely going to end up with a better product for it.
So you think we might get a start on laying the groundwork and making some improvements this summer? But
Absolutely.
probably the bulk of that work would happen, would that be at 27 then?
That will be spring. I would anticipate by next fall, we'll probably have some activities taking place, certainly by spring and then summer. I think that's when the really shiny things will probably happen. But again, we will definitely have some improvements taking place, whether it's, we have a lot of surfacing materials on our playgrounds, pea gravel, some mulch, some things like that. We'll be able to do some cleanup, sort of bring in some spaces so that they're a little bit more friendly, I would say, for, some of our users with some mobility issues, some things like that. We'll be working on those things over the course of the spring and the summer, cleaning things up and, like I say, just getting ready for that next phase.
Okay. Appreciate that,
You bet.
that thoughtful approach, and especially involving community input.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that community part of it, and my question is kind of maybe, I don't know, Dirk's gonna probably have to answer. We had, in the history of playgrounds, which has always been a kind of a hot topic, we had that money, and I don't remember how much it was, that went to each school, and I think we had 2 schools that were
Remaining.
in the, yeah. Do we recall, and we don't have to say here, because I don't want to put anybody unless anybody knows for directly.
Yeah, Altoona is the next on line. and
Altoona,
we
okay.
have- Yeah, so Delaware was kind of in that spot. We worked with them knowing that this project would possibly come down the line. So some of the things we did at Delaware, we worked directly with the PTA to make sure that we weren't going to duplicate the things that we may have been doing on that playground based on this project, and that worked out well. I'll be doing the same with the remaining 2 schools to make sure they're talking with us for any kind of fundraising they have. We'll be supplementing the things that the district will be doing underneath the bond referendum versus doing something that may be, that would not fit or complement what the district plans to do.
Okay, because
Project.
I guess that's my question is, because they've already got some plans, I know, and then, and not that we owe them any money, but I think we kind of owe them some money because all the other schools have got it.
Yeah, they're doing allocation, yes.
Yeah, so-
They are doing allocation of funds from Pebble.
Okay, so we got that worked out, or
Yes. Yes.
those would be the first 2 schools that we talked to at least, or,
There'll be the remaining 2 schools that we talked to in conjunction with this project, yes.
okay. All right. Yeah, no, I think it takes a little bit longer, but yeah, the community piece is probably good to, and then once we're here on out, the district's gonna set a kind of a guideline on what we allow, what we don't allow, because I know we got PTAs. I'd like to see the PTAs use their money more for things, not that it's, playgrounds are for students, but that's quite a cost that PTAs just, not every school's equal to the same,
Yeah.
They can't raise the same amount of money that one can or the other, and I just want to get completely out of that business. But yet, we have to, it may not be that every school gets a track, you know, or just so when we're done with this, what's the standard, I guess?
Or it could
Yeah.
be that every school gets a track and that's part of our.
Yeah, I mean, if it is a track, it is a track. I mean, I don't have a thing against track by any means. I don't want anybody to think I'm not a runner. But yeah, whatever that standard is, that way we can, from here on out, we know PTAs can put their money towards things that are, you know, more, I keep saying student-oriented, but academic. Thank you, Tracy. Yeah, so, anyway, appreciate it.
So if I'm understanding this, 26 will be more for the foundational, and then 27 will be actually for the more, like the bling, the.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. Yeah, exactly. And I think Mr. Handy hit it on the head with the standardization element. I think that's what this, kind of this first phase is really going to focus on is what does a Southeast Polk elementary school playground look like, and what can our community expect when they walk onto those grounds? So that's what we'll be focusing on this year.
It would be nice to have some consistency across the
Yeah.
district.
I got one more unless anybody had something else. Are we gonna be talking to the cities at least too? Because I know at one time, we used to use, and this is, it's been a while since I've been involved in that stuff. They use obviously, we keep our playgrounds open. Is the cities maybe willing to put some money into as a community playground, or are we wanting to kind of just keep it as our own and?
I haven't heard either, any of our cities volunteer to.
Right.
I know they're not gonna volunteer, but are we gonna at least ask and say, hey,
We haven't spoken, or I don't want to speak for Kevin. I have not spoken directly with Pleasant Hill or Altoona yet, or Mitchellville, around what they might be willing to sort of throw into the pot. We're certainly going to be engaging them in all those conversations, though. There will invariably be some permit discussions, some things like that. But we will certainly be, this is a mutually beneficial relationship with our playgrounds here at Southeast Polk and the community. I mean, the schools invite folks in to our community, and it's a win-win for everybody, and we certainly want to make sure that that they're at the table as we have these conversations. And if they want to write a check, that'd be fantastic.
yeah, I'm not gonna hold my breath, but
Yeah.
I will,
No, but
But I
we'll
will-
certainly talk.
yeah. And then one other thing, and obviously, we had a conversation over break, a brief one about, one request, when we're gonna do some fencing, can we get the little turnstiles that only allow people in there and not bikes? We had some vandalism, small vandalism at Clay Elementary, and
Right.
you know, they were tearing up the grass and getting on the track with their bikes, and, I mean, it's hard to police that, so.
And that'll be one of those things that we'll be talking about is, you know, how do we make sure that we provide, obviously, access for everyone to be able to get into that space, but also not for everyone, you know?
Yeah.
Things with four wheels don't necessarily need to be on the
Yep.
playground, so.
Yeah, and it was very minor, it was just tearing up the grass, it was electric bikes, but they were getting on the track and skidding and stuff, and it was just, they didn't do any damage to it other than grass, which will blend itself in, but it's just, yeah. But those, you know, turnstile thing I'm talking about.
Yep.
Like, I think the campus pool has it, or the public pool has one where it's just, only a body can go through, but.
Correct.
Yep.
Yep, no, we'll
Yeah,
definitely,
you probably had them at your other place.
yeah, we'll definitely take a look at that.
Yep, all right, thank you.
Anyone else?
Okay, Grant. On the vote for the playground.
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
All right, on to topics for discussion. Bus bid planning, Mr. Bacom.
Yes, Mr. Kretz is here as well, Transportation Director. Thank you. Just giving you a little summary here of the vehicle inventories that we have, buses, vans, and Suburbans now. We are looking to go for bid for 2 regular 77-passenger buses and 3 specially equipped school buses. Would entertain any sort of questions you might have unrelated to air conditioning. I'm sorry. Kidding.
Well, no,
Kidding.
I know you're kidding, because you knew. Yeah, the only question that I have is, I'm not opposed to not having air conditioning on, but my question would be is, have we, and I'm sure you do, what would we need air conditioning for, and how many buses do we have that would accommodate? Because obviously, this was a big deal back in COVID, that those
Right.
filters and everything that
Yeah,
were,
and that was a topic of discussion the last time we did our ordering. I remember us talking about that. Currently, right now, we have 7 fully air-conditioned 77-passenger buses. All of the new buses right now come with driver air. That's from the factory, but it doesn't
yeah.
take into account the rest of the bus. So it's really just towards the front of the bus. And really, the only time where it comes into play, really, in my opinion, is summer school, and then really the first part of, the first 3-4 weeks of school.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say, I mean, like, summer athletics were,
Right,
baseball, softball,
right.
track, any of those that are in the heat, where, I mean, those kids deserve to have some place to go be cool and,
And we
you
do
know.
try, when any of those types of activities, we do try to make sure that we use the AC buses for those particular activities.
yeah.
And really, July, when we're doing the summer programs, we utilize all the AC buses for those. And then, of course, all of our our sped buses are all AC, so,
And how many buses are you actually wanting?
5.
5 this year?
Yeah, we want to get 3 sped buses. We currently have,
Oh, I see it there.
yeah, we currently have 15 active buses that we're keeping, but several of those well, a couple of those are older buses that are going to need to be phased out eventually. So that's part of, in our planning for that, why we're going with 3 sped buses and 2 regular buses. I mean, really, in the last couple of years, we've only ordered 1 sped bus. Everything else has been regular, full-size buses. So we're trying to kind of level the playing field a little bit more here. And plus, the fact that we really want to add another sped route in there is going to come into play, if not 2 sped routes.
Now, with the buses that you're ordering, because it's out of those 62, 15 of them are kind of standbys or
Right.
athletics.
Athletic, and then also, just standby buses for, when the regular route buses go down. On average, we average 6 to 8 buses, that are either in the shop or being serviced or out of service, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and this may be premature, but how many buses are you thinking we're gonna need with the new route for the new elementary that'll be coming? I mean, because now's the time to start planning. Get your pocketbook out.
I would say probably at least 4.
4 more on top of this?
Well, with the new elementary, I mean, I'm just looking, I look at like I look at any elementary school, we average 4 to 5 buses per elementary,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, I'm sure you're thinking about it, but just, I
yeah,
mean, if we
it's
need
definitely
to,
in the back of my mind.
if we need to add another one, I mean, could we afford to sneak another one in there this year, just to, if we needed it? I mean,
I wouldn't this year, I'm just trying to build our
Wouldn't,
analysis
okay.
back up for some other things that have happened.
no, that's fine. I
Yeah,
just,
that may be probably something we'll have to talk about, that'll be, top of mind in the next round.
but I mean, we'd have buses just in case, if we needed them. I mean, it's not like all those 15 aren't being used at one time, so we would be able
Correct.
to, it's probably, okay.
I have a question. What's the age of our fleet right now, before the new buses come on?
On average, it's in that chart there, but the 77 passenger buses are on average 10 years old.
Okay. I think that's what the answer was last year too, so I'm just checking.
Yep, it's pretty consistent.
Okay.
It's better to do this kind of stack like this rather than putting 77 buses all at one time, in my financial opinion.
And are there any buses that are being retired at the end of this year? Are these replacing buses, or are this going to be adding on to our current fleet?
Yeah, we're retiring buses.
We are retiring, okay.
Yes,
So that number will still remain
pretty consistent.
pretty consistent, okay.
Yep.
So we'll see some Sally's buses on Ragbri and camping and
I'm sure you will.
So yellow buses, it might have belonged to Southeast Polk, but not Southeast Polk.
How's the supply chain right now for buses? Is it
It's actually a lot better. It's a good question. So right now, well, two things. First of all, the price increase is 3%, which is lower than what I thought it would be for the next round. The supply chain right now, if we order here, probably in the next couple months, we'll have them before school starts. We'll have them by midsummer, which is a lot better than it used to be. I mean, at one point, we were pushing a year and a half.
Yeah.
16, 17 months. You know, the post-COVID, and it was really bad, but it's much better than it was.
Are we able to get the vans again, or are we still, like, is Suburban the route?
Based on our previous experience with those vans, I don't think there are manufacturers that make them stay qualified. That might have changed. I know we love our Suburbans right now.
Yeah, people, so we got the 2 new Suburbans, and I mean, my experience of using the Suburbans in Newton was fantastic. Everybody loved the Suburbans, and since we've had the 2 Suburbans, that's what everybody wants to drive. I mean, they like them, they're roomy. I think they're safer,
Okay, good.
and, you know, I just think they're built better, and they also handle better in the winter months. You know, and they get used all the time.
Okay, so it's not a bad thing that we.
Not a
made
bad
that
thing at all.
switch.
No.
The bids will come back to you in the second meeting in February for approval, once we get those bids back.
Are those Suburbans four-wheel drive then? Or are they just the
All-wheel.
two? All-wheel? Okay.
Other questions? All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, on to letter B, professional development update.
Good evening, Board. I'm here to share with you the updates for our District Professional Development Day, which will be a week from Monday on January 19th. Typically, in this January Professional Development Day, it is a half-day building and a half-day district. And for the district portion of this Professional Development Day, we will be providing time for required testing training. So even though we're just back at school, we're starting to enter state-required testing season. And so as a result of these state assessments, teachers are required to get a certain level and a certain amount of trainings to be able to complete that. So during the district portion of the day, we'll have testing for ISASP, both test security and test administration. ELPA 21, which is the assessment that we administer for our English learners. Alt ELPA 21, which is required for English learners who might be on an alternate assessment. And then this year, they have added to the reading, the early literacy bill, they've added math to that. And so our elementary teachers will need to be certified in FastBridge Math, as well as the math progress monitoring. So that is the district portion of the day. For the building portion of the day, each building is able to plan a day that meets the needs of their building and their school improvement plan. So I have 2 principals who are here with us this evening to share what their plans look like. And the first one is Mr. Jake Bartles, who's the principal at Runnels Elementary.
Good evening. I just was going to spend a little bit of time here talking about what we're going to do at Runnels for our afternoon. So, you know, like Dr. Latham said, we will spend the morning doing the test training. And then in the afternoon, we have it broken up into kind of 2 different sections. So part of our section in the afternoon is going to be Leader and Me. So part of Leader and Me is action team. So, you know, we have our building staff broken up into various action teams into 3 different areas. So leadership action team, culture action team, and academic action team. And so they will spend about an hour working on various things. So for example, you know, just a few of the things that they're working on is our academic action team is they've worked on our attendance WIG, which is wildly important goal. And so at Runnels, we are trying to have our chronic absenteeism at 5% or less. So the flu is not helping us right now. But it's been kind of rough here with that. So that's what, like the academic, that'd be one thing that they would be working on during that time. The culture action team is working on planning, trying to get together some sort of family event that would involve Leader and me, get people into the building, families into the building. So they're working on that, and that's always a big thing to do. You know, some of the other things that they've done, they do assemblies and PBIS recognition, and so kids can get, you know, various recognition for following the Rams way. And then our leadership action team also includes our lighthouse, which they help plan Leader and Me in general. They're kind of in charge of what does our Leader and Me in our building look like. So that'll be about an hour of our time. Some of the teams may take more than an hour, but we've set aside an hour. And then for the other part of the time, we have 4 things that teachers can do, or, you know, 4 things that we're talking about. So 3rd through 5th grade has a new curriculum, CKLA. So that could be something that they are working together, and they're working on their units, they're working on lesson plans, they're going through that because it is a very, very rigorous curriculum, which is great, and it's been good. But as we know, when you're teaching something new, it takes time. You need to know what you're doing. So that would be one thing. Data team meetings. So our fast testing window is open here soon. It closes on January 23rd. So our hope would be that the majority of our students by the 19th have taken their fast testing. So we can start looking at data. We can compare that to where we were in the fall and see where we're at there. And then we also have iReady data, hopefully. The window for that closes on February 5th. So, you know, our goal would be that we have a lot of our kids done with that too. So teachers will get together and they'll start looking at the data, start looking at kids, you know, how do we want to group our kids? How do we want to group our small groups like that so we can provide what those students need? You know, you'll have some kids that we need to provide extra for. We'll have kids that we need to provide some enrichment, you know, for example. And then the last thing that teachers will be working on is just unit planning. So 15-day challenge, which is a way to plan units. You know, and one thing, all 4 of these things fall into and support our building goals. And I did leave one out. So one thing that we're trying to do, you know, students on the report cards do get a score for the Rams way. So we're looking at motivated learner, trying to get 90% of our students by the end of the year to be proficient as a motivated learner. And so currently, after the first trimester, we were at 78%. So we've taken a list. We have a list of our kids. We've looked at those kids, and we're looking at, okay, how can we support that in the classroom? How can we try to teach these various skills and look at that? And so, you know, you're probably saying, what the heck is a motivated learner? It's a student who's participating, you know, has their materials, has a positive attitude, and is giving their best effort. Now, obviously, there is some subjectivity to that, right? So that's something that we're talking about with the staff. But one thing that we're really looking at for that is that we're trying to get kids to be able to give themselves a score on that and look at, how am I doing? How was my effort today? And so we just met on Wednesday to talk about that. So that's another piece that teachers can work on, some lessons that they're going to do with their students. So that's what it's going to look like at Runnels Elementary. Does anybody have any questions?
Are you giving your teachers any time to work on whatever they feel they need to work on?
They'll have a little bit of time as well, yeah, to work. So that afternoon, the action team is your major, like everybody's doing that. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to be able to choose. They're going to be able to choose from different things, those 4 that I mentioned, and then, you know, they can be planning.
Okay, so does that mean they're going to have time to just do what they feel, or do they have to choose from your menu of?
These are suggested things, so certainly I trust the staff to make that choice as well and choose what they're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Mr. Bartle. So that's just one example of an elementary building. All buildings have plans for the 19th, but we're just giving you a few of the examples. And next, we have Mr. Josh Griffith, who's going to share the plans for the middle school.
Well, hello.
Hello?
So I do have some handouts. Might be overkill, so I apologize up front. Oh, I just think I can pass them down. So we will be starting our day with that ISASP training. After we finish that, we will get together in our PLCs, and we're going to continue the work that we have been working on so far this year, which is the creation of our student-friendly scales. This is hard work. It really requires a lot of time to be able to sit down together as a PLC and hash through some of these things. So what you have in front of you is the learning progression for student-friendly scales. It just kind of is a step-by-step guide on how they do it. You have Karen Hess's cognitive rigor matrix. This is only one example of this. There's actually a different one created for every single subject that is offered. And then you have an example of a scale. And I would say this is very much in draft form. This is the first stab at a scale for one of our PLCs. So you can kind of see what that product might look like at the end. Now, I will say that I don't know how familiar you are with Hattie's work, but Hattie did one of the largest comprehensive studies on student achievement and what types of instructional strategies have the highest impact on student achievement. The highest efficacy or the highest level is actually with the teacher's belief in what students are capable of achieving. So if a teacher believes that the students are capable of achieving at high levels, that actually shows to have a higher rate of like the students will respond to that at a higher rate and achieve at higher levels than any other instructional strategy possible. The next highest one is actually clarity, teacher clarity. So teachers first having a clear expectation as to what students are supposed to learn and be able to do, but students also having that clear understanding of what is expected of them in that. I can remember growing up when I was in school, the teacher would start teaching, and oftentimes I didn't really know what the target was or what was expected out of me. I'm just taking notes and trying to memorize and doing the best I can, and then you get the test, you figure it out, right? It's like getting in a car and saying, go, just drive, you'll get there. You know, figure it out. Nobody does that. We always have a destination, we put it in there, and we follow the map to that destination. So scales really help make that clear for the students. And it was important to me that these scales are created in student-friendly language. So I found out when I was hired that we had done this work about 10 years ago or so, but that was written in teacher language and wasn't written in student language. And so these were not getting used by students. And so if we truly want to have the highest impact on our student outcomes, these need to be used by students as often as possible. So that's the work that we have started now. The way that you do this work is you start with a standard. So you have your priority standard in front of you. Then you look at Karen Hess's rigor matrix, and you try to figure out where that standard falls on this matrix. So you want to know what level of rigor is required out of you from that standard. And from there, after you've put that there, Then you start trying to figure out what are learning targets that I could create that are aligned to the standard, but also aligned at that level of rigor that is supported in that matrix. So after you've done that, this is where it gets even harder, but the teachers will start to talk about what success criteria is. So what does it mean to be successful at that level for that learning target? So then they start writing out that success criteria. And if you look at the scale, unfortunately, meeting is kind of on both sides, so I apologize. You're going to have to flip back and forth between them. But you will see the learning target written under meeting, and then you can see over on the right is the success criteria for that. So they define what success means for that learning target. And after they get that done, then they go back to the rigor matrix. And this is where we talk about trying to support all students at learning at high levels and making sure that we're truly trying to lift all boats. We want every student in our building to have access to the same level of rigor that we would be giving in our advanced classes. And so what we do at that point is we take that rigor matrix and we go further to the right and further down, and we create a new learning target that forces the learning to go deeper and more advanced. And we create a new learning target at that exceeding level. And then we get very clear success criteria that will lay out what it means to be successful even at that exceeding level. And so what you'll see is if it's done well, it's actually a lot of similar success criteria as meeting with an additional one or two on there that take it to that next step. The goal is for us to create, after this is all done, all this work is done with these scales, students will be using these scales, one, to provide themselves with feedback, but also provide each other with feedback. And the feedback that we provide to our students from the teacher is also done through these scales. So it's all very tightly aligned. I got the opportunity, this was not an expectation for my staff yet, because we're just creating these, but I've challenged some of them that were ready to start putting these in front of students to see the impact. And we had a second-year teacher who our students had written a 5-paragraph essay, and she put the success criteria in front of them and had them analyzing their peers' work on whether they had met that success criteria or not. It was amazing to see these 11 and 12-year-olds providing each other with feedback based off of that. And it's literally like a check, you did it or you didn't. And then they had a discussion as to what they could do differently to meet that success criteria. Very, very powerful. And she said that the difference from last year's to this year's work samples was incredible. So it has a high impact. The end goal as well is for us to, once we get these scales built, we start talking about quality assessments next year. So we want rigorous and relevant assessments that challenge our students to look at how this could be used outside the walls of our building. And we'd start with those rigorous things. So every student is working on those projects, those rigorous and relevant projects throughout a unit, and everyone has access to that. And then the afternoon, it's going to be spent very short, little 30-minute, let's just revisit as a staff as to what our expectations are for our students and ourselves. And then in the afternoon, PLCs will meet to work on whatever it is that they need to work on in order to get ready for that new semester. So they might be doing unit planning, they might be doing some grading together, making sure that there's alignment there. They get to kind of choose their own path with that as long as they are working together as a PLC. Okay. Questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Same question that Mr. Bartles got. Are your teachers going to get any individual time to work on what they need to work on?
So we value our collaboration. They get to choose as a PLC what they're doing in that afternoon.
So they don't
that meets
get
their
any time to
needs.
work individually?
I'm guessing that they'll work, no, I mean, they'll work on what it is that they need as a PLC. I'm not telling them what that is. They get to choose that.
So no individual work time?
No.
I'm seeing a pattern.
Yeah.
It is a professional, Carol.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Bartles and Mr. Griffith, for sharing that
I got some
information.
questions before you take off.
Oh, you do? Okay. So just wanting to clarify that this is a designated professional development day. And so we did have a work day coming back on January 2nd, which allowed all teachers the opportunity to choose what that looked like. But we do have 4 days across the year that are designated and dedicated to professional learning. We know our teachers take great advantage of that. We do ask them to do a lot. Teaching is very complex work, and having the opportunity to learn together and to collaborate is a really key and important part of that. So while there are different days where that choice is embedded in, this is a designated day for professional learning.
I understand that, but to be professional, you do have to have some time to reflect and process this. And I guess going forward, I would like to see a little bit of time. It doesn't have to be a lot, but a little bit of time to reflect and think about the whole day and what it all entailed.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Go ahead, Brett.
So, let's make sure I got this right. So on this sheet, what was the first sheet?
So the first one is really kind of laying out the
Is that
process.
this one?
That is a scale. This was the first one that kind of lays out the process for how they follow to get to that point. So this supports them in the creation of their actual
So that's
scale.
the teacher,
Yeah, teacher uses this.
Okay.
Yep.
and then just, and obviously the student's not going to be the forever, this is how you're doing, because
Yeah, students won't even use Karen Hess's. They won't even see that,
okay.
that
I was gonna
document
say,
that you're
'cause
seeing.
That's a lot.
Nope, that's for,
'Cause
that's for teachers.
I'm just looking back, when I was a student, I'd be like, what the heck's he want me
Yep.
to do? And then I'd
Nope.
be like, you're doing great, you're doing a good job.
Yeah,
But I think it's, well, that is Bondurant. And they're a good school district, don't get me wrong, I still love Bondurant, but.
yeah, and the students may not ever have the entire scale put in front of them. They may just have the meeting put in front of them one day. They
Okay.
might have the exceeding put in front of them. They might only have the success criteria put in front of them. The point is, they've got that clarity as to the target that they're trying to achieve.
Okay.
So.
That was what I got confused on, because I thought, if you put that in front of me as a
Oh, yeah.
seventh and eighth, or
Yeah.
sixth and seventh grade, whatever it is,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like,
It
Doing a
sounds
great
like
job.
you're working on what we had done several years ago, similar to proficiency scales.
Yeah, it really is. Those were created for teachers. They
Yes.
weren't created with the student in mind.
We had started
So.
to develop some that were more student-friendly. But I think COVID hit.
Yep, that's what I heard. Yeah, that it, and it just kind of fizzled out as unfortunately COVID had that effect.
so I guess layman's terms, in a parent, it's more like student assessment of, like, check each other's paperwork.
Yeah,
So
or
it's
your
helping-
own,
it's
or
helping
each
the
other's.
Yeah,
Yep, teacher
okay.
does it. Yeah, so I'll tell you this, several years ago, I was at a building that hadn't moved over to scales yet. We were still on the percentage grade book. So what was interesting, and I was a math teacher, and it was a math PLC. And what was funny is we all thought we were tight. We all thought that when we grade the same. It wouldn't matter which room we were in. And I decided to challenge that as the department lead one year. And I said, here, we're going to grade this student's test together in isolation, the way we'd normally do it. Create the rubric how you want, how you would normally do it, because that's where we did it anyway, and grade it. The grades range from a high F to a B on that one test, depending on which teacher you had. It's crazy difference. And then I said, now let's look at the grade book. So I made up a grade book with all these different scores for assignments, tests, quizzes. I even put a couple zeros in there. I said, now, based off of how you weight in your class, you weight in your class, you weight in your class, and how you deal with zeros, how much weight you give in assignments, quizzes, tests, what would the student get? And the grades range from a low D to a high B on that one. Everybody had the same set of data, and it had to do with the weighting. And it became very clear to our PLC that we needed to get tighter, because it shouldn't matter which teacher you have to have that big of an impact on your grade. And so that's where this teacher clarity becomes so critical. And these scales, when you go down to 4 points and you're creating iterative reliability by scoring them together, now it's like when you're looking at those student work samples, you know what it takes to get a 3. You know what it takes to get to a 4. You know what it takes to get to a 2. And it's hard work, and it takes a lot of time and energy. But what I know from my experience is the percentage. It's what people know, but they don't really know. At the end of the day, if you were to ask me what that 90% truly meant, well, it means they get an A. Great. What does that mean? You can't say whether that's aligned to a standard. When we started analyzing the tests on that 100% scale, it was interesting. Over 90% of the work wasn't even written at the level that the standard expected. You could get an A without ever even meeting the standard. Wild to think about. So scales really tighten that up. But that's where we're starting, laying the foundation, getting it clear, and then creating those assessments next year to that.
So these scales tighten it up for the teacher, but you're also, for the student, they have a very clear picture of what success looks like.
Correct. Yep. And what scales also do for you is they actually free the teacher up to be more creative in the types of assessments. And what I mean by that is if I give, let's say, test over Unit 1, I give a Unit 1 test. Everybody gets the same test because it's all got to be out of the same point system to go to the same percentage. Everybody gets the same thing. If it's about the learning, which is what these scales are, I can actually get more creative and allow a little bit more student voice and choice as to how they meet that standard, as long as it's hitting all the success criteria. So it really allows a lot more flexibility in what those assessments can and should look like for our students.
Sounds like a pretty full day of professional development.
It is. It'll be a lot of fun for them. Yeah. Yeah.
And what's the timeline that, if,
To complete all this?
if it works, because it sounds like if we started this 10 years ago, but now you're putting the student focus on it. I got some questions that
No,
probably for a different time, but yeah, I guess it seems like it'll be interesting to see, well, I'll leave it at this. It'll be interesting to see how the student portion goes, if the teacher portion hasn't gone, because it seems like we should have been narrowing this down on the standards before, because it seems like we're here and there on the standards. And if this,
If it doesn't get interrupted, I'm hoping our scales in our building will be created either by the end of this year, early next year. It's hard to put a real clear timeline on it because these PLCs will get in these debates about what that standard truly means and what's expected, and sometimes we spin our wheels for a little bit. And I think every PLC will move at a slightly different pace, right? But after that, we'll spend another year at least developing quality assessments that are aligned to those. That takes a lot of time, and you can't expect it to just be, snap of fingers to get it done. We got to give them the time to do it. And then we'll focus on instruction that's aligned to those to beef that up. So it's a 3 to 5 year process to get all that. And you don't want to get interrupted during that because it can put you back several years, and then people get frustrated because they don't have the alignment with it.
well, and I wish you wouldn't have brought this up, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because since we started standard-based grading, I came on the board in 2011, and we started it in 2012-ish. And here we are, 2025, and we're not even complete yet.
Yeah.
And now you're coming in here saying you're gonna start another thing?
Yeah.
Not overly excited about it, to be honest with you. So I think, I'm not gonna say it's a waste of time, but I'm not excited about it, put it that way. So I wish you wouldn't have brought it up, because it brings up, it's just history and it's, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
That
like
bad
hearing
issue can
the-
leave a
I don't
bad
like
taste in
hearing
your
the
mouth.
3 to 5 years because we've been going, standards-based grading again has been,
Oh, we're grading with it. It's just gonna get tighter and better.
you know, I get it, but
Yeah.
another 3 to 5 years is just, we've got to lock something in for our district. Yeah, I don't know. And I'm gonna end on that because I'll be interested to see how it goes for you, but.
Yeah.
So good luck.
Sixth grade language arts really honed in on this for preparation for ISAPs the last couple of years. And did a lot of work with using some of the practice tests that we're allowed to use as we prepare for ISAP. And then involve the kids in looking at, like, here's the standard, here's the expectations, and then started, you know, showing them examples. And they really got critical with, like, I wouldn't accept this, and I'd give this a 2, no, I wouldn't give that, and they would, you know, or approaching or whatever, and they really, like, started hammering on some of these examples that we were giving them, and I attribute that to how well our kids over the last couple of years have done on the writing portions of ISAPs. If you look at some of the 6th grade writing scores, and we've had, Joe Allen would have to tell me, but we've had several students that have gotten 100% on the writing pieces over the last several years. So, I mean, when I look at it and go, well, I'd probably give them a meeting or maybe exceeding, and they're going, why would you do that? They didn't do this and they didn't do that. And so when they're telling me what wasn't right about it, that tells me they truly understood what was going on.
Yeah, they're further along than I think we're giving them credit. This is more about creating that student-friendly and getting the student ownership of them. They're being used for grading. They're being used for writing assessments right now. We're going to take it another step further and get it even better. That's all. They're doing good work. It's been powerful. All right, any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, on to staff planning, fiscal year 27. Mr. Horton.
Good evening, Board. Good to see Art here in the crowd. That's cool. Staffing plan. You've got a sheet at your table. Looks like this. It's got the big RAM thing at the top. It's got our new logo. But I think before I get to any of that, let me preface all this with there are a number of things that really, really affect staffing. And number one is whatever the legislature tells us is state supplemental aid. So as ambitious as that list at the bottom looks, I'll just be really honest, if we get a small SSA from the legislature, we won't be hiring all those people. What's listed at the bottom of the sheet is I really kind of behind the scenes, sometimes formally, most of the time really informally, if I hear somebody say something about, man, we could really use a whatever, like a 6th grade math interventionist, then I put it on a smaller list and then it makes its way to this point. That's how I've always done it. I don't know if it's right, wrong, or indifferent, but these are all just suggestions from different people that I've bumped into over this first semester in terms of what they'd like to see in terms of staffing. The second thing that can doom a staffing plan is student population. Like if we had a drop, if we came out next year where we are currently today, which were minus 10 students from where we were a year ago, I don't think we would have a really super ambitious plan. I think we would look to, keep it small, spend the least amount of money possible, and make sure that we have each student is adequately covered with teacher coverage. Another thing that affects staffing plan every year is academic programming changes. You know, sometimes somebody has this great idea about what we're going to do. We're going to create this class or do this thing or whatever, and it's going to require a human being to do it. And some of those ideas are really important. They're really great. They're very innovative. They're smart. That we should have been doing it maybe 10 years ago. And that would be an occasion where we would have conversations about which of those plans are kind of address needs that we have currently. And then lastly, kind of going backward a little bit in my logic here, but you know, as our principals work, as our teachers work, as our certified labor union gave me lots of different ideas about what they'd like to do or some ideas they'd like to see as a part of the staffing plan. You know, all those we put into the hopper and then they go into a big blending conversation about let's assess everything we've got and let's put our best foot forward and move forward with whatever the staffing plan will be. And usually the staffing plan comes in, gosh, I think we've done as many as 4 or 5 phases. It's a phase thing where we, you know, sometimes, in particular, like with student populations, sometimes we don't find out that 50 kindergartners moved into Runnels overnight until that very next day, so we have to respond. So those would account for some of the later phases of it all. But I think in terms of phase 1, what we're currently discussing, and when I say we, I mean Dr. Hlupnik's cabinet. It's where I usually go, or I just go in his office and say, hey, what do you think about this and that? And, but in putting this first version, or first phase, rather, of the staffing plan together, we had 2 items. They were building improvement leaders, formerly known as SAMs, one to serve at Mitchellville and Runnels and one to serve at the high school. Those were approved in 2025. And we just haven't employed them yet, mostly due to cost. It's expensive to have a building leader, and they're great. They do wonderful work, but we moved them in 3 different phases, and this would be the last phase of that group. But that's kind of where we are right now. So we've got 2 that we're really heavily considering, and then a whole bunch of future considerations that'll go, you know, sort of in that analytical mess of different jobs that we're looking to hire. But if we get a great state supplemental aid, if our SSA's higher, we should come forward with a pretty robust plan. But if we don't, guaranteed we won't, because if we don't have the money, as much as we would like to hire these jobs, we can't. But any questions about kind of the process, where we've been, where we're going, how this looks over time, mitigating factors, that kind of stuff?
You said that's not in order, that's not in order of priority?
No, not at the bottom. It's just as they came to me.
Do you know off the top of your head what the total cost of that would be? I mean,
No,
Okay.
I don't. I mean,
That's a
I
good-
could go figure it out really quick
that's
on my
all right.
phone, but
no, that's all right. I don't think we're gonna get that much supplemental aid.
I don't think so either. That's why I wanted to brace you early, because I'm not getting a great vibe coming off the Capitol. But we haven't had one for a long time. So it's kind of business as usual, but it's not. It's never adequate.
Is there a process to create the priority list for the future consideration staff? Out of those, if we know, we only have X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
Is that going back to these individuals where you initially heard these from, or what does that process kind of look like for? finding those
In
priorities.
determining what we're gonna do, it's usually a cabinet conversation, and then it becomes an after-the-fact Joe Dirk conversation, and maybe Kevin, because he's our money guy. And then we'll bring it forward at that point. Which, for all intents and purposes, looks like ideally would be January 22nd, and then we do the final vote in February, early February. I don't know if we'll get there or not. That's pretty ambitious. But that's what I put on there because I think we did that last year. I think last year we were very ambitious.
So the two bill positions will come up January 22nd? Is that maybe?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, if we really land on it and we go, okay, let's go one more phase, wait another year for the high school or Midgeville and Runnels, which is, obviously still, it's something we could still do. We could just add a phase. But yeah, looking forward, those are about as close to part of the plan as maybe a job could get right now, adding another position.
I think those bills have been, as we talked in our last one, they're pretty important roles. It's helped administration out on some things, and it helps kind of a building functionality of attendance and stuff. I think we need to make sure we get those two done. So.
That's kind of why I put them up there, is I went, hey, you all have already said, hey, these are jobs we want to have. And the other part of it was the success that they've enjoyed so far, or they've earned, maybe, and enjoyed, earned and enjoyed. They've done a great job in helping lots of people. Best part is, the thing they help the most, kids and families. They're really good with kids and families, and that has been, I think it's really reflective in our attendance data, looking at the numbers of chronic absenteeism in our school district. Those have been chopped way back. And I think they've had a big part in that. It's a lot of what they do.
If we approve, when this is on the agenda, those two bills, and then we find that we're gonna be cutting this spring, we don't have to hire those two bills right out of the gate if we're gonna end up cutting this
Right.
spring.
Right. That's pretty
assume
much
that's
what we
when-
would do with any job.
Right. We just wouldn't put them
We
in place.
just wouldn't hire it.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah, like, let's say they came back with a negative SSA for some odd reason. The hiring, staffing plan would be an easy one. I mean, it'd be easy from the who we gonna add standpoint, no one. And then the hard part may end up being who we gonna let go. That might be tough.
Or not replace.
Right. Any other questions? All right, well, we'll see you next time, hopefully with a good list. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
All right. Letter D, legislative update.
You bet. I'm going to do it really quick here. You also have a sheet at your desk. It's not worth me wasting your time walking up in front. We know that Monday, the legislative session begins. It's mostly ceremonial on Monday, and the real work kind of jumps in on Tuesday. But this just gives you some of those highlights. The Day on the Hill is one I know Lacey's been talking with you individually on the 26th. And then on the back side of that sheet are all of our senators and representatives and the contact to get there. Kind of tying into what Joe was talking about, we really are having to hedge for a little while here. We always do each year, ever since they moved SSA into the same calendar year. Remember, it used to be done, actually, I'm old enough to tell you, it used to be done 2 years before, and then it was 1 year before, and now it's 30 days into the session, and they've broken that law, I think, the last 4 years as well. So as much as we want to say we're going to know SSA soon, I think all of us realize we have to be patient here for that to be done, and it's an especially tough budget year. It's one of those things, again, that is kind of a running joke that's said every year, but this, we know, truly is a year where the state is looking at a $1 billion shortfall. So the very first thing they're going to have to do is allocate money from somewhere to pay off the rest of this year before they even start budgeting for next year. So as we look forward, we need to have some answers before we commit funds as well. Now, the good news is we're going into an election year, so the chance of 0 or minus for SSA decreases because people have to go out on the campaign trail, and it would be difficult to do that with those kind of numbers. So, but I just wanted to give you that, and we'll talk more once the governor gives her State of the State address, and we hear what those priorities look like. I think we all know property tax sounds like it's going to be front and center.
All right, thank you, Dr. Lupnick. All right, on to our last item, letter E, last but not least, superintendent search update. We have Art Sadoff with us from Grunmeyer Leader Services that is going to kind of walk us through the process.
I appreciate you putting me after the legislative update. It's only up from here. Thank you, Dirk. As Chad said, I'm Art Sadoff, representing Grunmeyer Leader Services. I'm thrilled to be here tonight doing that. And I'll tell you just a little bit about my background to start with. I had a 34-year career in public education in just about every role you can imagine. And most pertinent to tonight probably were my last 8 years as Indianola Community School District Superintendent. That gave me a great opportunity to work with Metro superintendents and to observe and respect all the great things going on in Metro districts. And I would put Southeast Polk and Dr. Halupnik right at the top of that list. Those were great years, and that makes it more exciting for me to work on a search like this too. I retired in 2022, and that spring I started working for Grunmeyer Leader Services, and I've worked on a number of searches with Dr. Grunmeyer as well as leading them. Will be Trent and me on this search again, which is great. And shortly into retirement, I received a surprise phone call from Cedar Rapids Community School District, and I was vacationing in the Smoky Mountains. It was definitely a surprise, but they asked if I would be their interim superintendent until they were able to hire their full-time replacement. So I did that interim, and then last year actually helped Prairie City Monroe Schools as their interim superintendent and also led their search for them as they hired the replacement. And I mention those things because I have an appreciation and an understanding of what it takes to run a large urban school district and the leader that you need to come and follow Dr. Halupnik. And I think that's important. And then geographically too, my wife and I make Pella our home, and we just really like and appreciate this area. And it's going to be very easy for me to communicate to candidates, potential candidates, the amazing opportunity that you have here at Southeast Polk. Dr. Grunmeyer and I had an opportunity to meet with Chad and Brett and Jeannie and start getting this process rolling a little bit. But we tonight have an opportunity to kind of get everybody on the same page, get you up to speed. That's part of tonight's process here. And one thing I'd like to do is just let you see an overview of the whole process. And Jeannie has loaded up a 9-minute video here. So if we could do that, take a pause, watch that video, and then I have some slides we'll touch upon. We'll talk about your next steps. We'll get into a few specifics. So again, thank you for the opportunity to be here. We'll watch the overview, and then we'll get into some specifics.
For over a decade, Grunmeyer Leader Services has been proud to serve the schools that serve our communities. Since 2013, our firm has specialized in one mission: transforming education, one leader at a time. Each year, we lead more than 80 searches. Our placements stay longer and lead stronger, with superintendent tenure consistently exceeding the national average.
Oh, sorry. I'm just trying to get that off the bottom.
Why? Because we know schools. Our team brings an average of 33 years of experience in education, including 5 consultants who have also served on school boards themselves. That means we understand your challenges and your goals. We're here to elevate leadership, support communities, and help schools thrive, one superintendent at a time.
On behalf of Grunmeyer Leader Services, I want to express our sincere appreciation for considering us as your partner in one of the most important responsibilities you have, hiring your next superintendent. The impact of your hire will shape the district's future for years to come.
It all begins with a plan. From day one, your dedicated consultant works directly with your board to design a search process that fits the unique needs of your school district and community. Together, we set key hiring dates, outline expectations, define the qualities you're looking for, and prepare to engage candidates with confidence. We'll also help you move forward with transparency and openness so that you can maintain trust in your community. To attract the best candidates, we guide you in developing a competitive salary and benefits package. Through it all, we keep communication clear, consistent, and professional. From press and engage throughout the process. Every great search starts with listening. We begin by inviting your community to take a survey, giving them a chance to weigh in on the current reality of the district and qualities they would like to see in their next school leader. Once the survey closes, your board receives a detailed report highlighting the key themes and priorities that emerged. Guided by your GLS consultant, the board uses these insights to identify the desired qualifications for your next superintendent, aligning your goals with the community's expectations. Next, using our extensive marketing platforms, we advertise your superintendent opening far and wide, ensuring it reaches top-tier candidates both in your area and across the country. With a strong, targeted social media presence and a proven digital strategy, your job posting is seen by the right people at the right time. Our team of experienced and well-connected consultants actively recruit high-quality candidates, ensuring a larger candidate pool than you may expect. The board will have the opportunity to see every candidate who applies. Once the application window closes, our team begins a thorough and thoughtful review. We organize applicants into clearly defined tiers, giving your board a strategic view of the candidate pool and highlighting those who most closely align with your desired qualifications. For every candidate, we gather multiple confidential references, not just from those listed on their resume, but also from our own network of trusted contacts. We also check licensure at this stage of the search. This behind-the-scenes insight helps you understand your candidates beyond the paper. With a strong pool of candidates identified, we move into the screening phase. Your GLS consultant works with the board to draft custom screening questions tailored to your district's goals and the leadership qualities you're seeking. Your consultant will facilitate live screening interviews, creating a structured and professional environment where each candidate is evaluated fairly and consistently. After the screening interviews, we guide your board through a debrief process, helping you select the finalists who are best equipped to lead your schools. After finalists are selected, the GLS difference truly shines through. We help coordinate every detail of the formal interview day, including schedules, tours, meal and share an advanced insights report on each finalist, offering deep perspective into their online presence and leadership style. Once the top candidate is selected, we support your board through one of the most important final steps, extending the job offer. Your GLS consultant assists in drafting and delivering a formal offer based on pre-negotiation feedback the finalists complete before the formal interview day. After your new leader accepts the offer, GLS provides a press release announcing the hire, crafted to reflect your district's values and generate community excitement. To help your new leader make a strong first impression, we even provide an introductory video welcoming them to your district and setting the tone for a successful start.
This is not just a new role for me. It's an opportunity to come home and serve a community that I care very much about.
Our support doesn't end with the hire. Newly placed superintendents are invited to attend an exclusive onboarding workshop designed to help them hit the ground running with confidence, clarity, and connection. Each month, they'll also receive our Fitting 5 newsletter, packed with leadership insights, tools, and timely resources to support their continued growth. And for school districts looking to go even further, GLS offers a range of follow-up services, including facilitated superintendent evaluations and retreats for school boards and administrative teams. Because leadership is not just about finding the right person, it's about setting them up for long-term success.
We were extremely pleased with the services provided by Grunmeyer Leadership Services. We were on a relatively tight timeline, but Dr. Grunmeyer and his team worked behind the scenes constantly to get the word out about our opening, and we were ecstatic to have 28 applicants.
The Hampton Dumont School District has had great success using Grunmeyer Leader Services. We've used them for the last several administrative positions and have been very pleased with how things have gone. We trust the process, we know that Trent has our back, and is always looking out for our best interest.
We look forward to partnering with you on this important hire.
Jeannie will get a slide deck up here for me, and I'm going to give you a folder that has a complete presentation. We'll move kind of quickly through some of it because a lot of it would be repetitive of what you just saw in the video there. But I'm hoping as we go through, I can amplify a few things. You can interject questions, and then we'll talk about some of the specifics of your search too. So I'll hand the folders and my contact information down the line here. This slide here, again, that's really what we just heard, the whole search process. And, you know, we already have hit the ground running here. Those first couple of steps we really have rolling. Your survey is out now. Jeannie just told me you, as of right now, have 305 responses, which is great. That's getting to the point where you'll close it pretty soon. I think you plan to get that to us maybe by January 12th so we can get that stakeholder report ready for you. So that's rolling already, and we've had some conversations about those early items on there, and we'll keep moving through the process here. These meetings, these are the typical meetings. We've already kind of had a preliminary planning meeting with Chad and Brett and Jeannie because we wanted to get out and kind of get ahead of the market, so to speak, with openings. There have been a number of superintendent openings early this year, and there's usually kind of a couple of waves of hiring, as you probably know, and you're going to be able to get in, you know, before that second big wave, which is nice, and you're going to be an attractive district too, so I'm sure you're going to have a good pool. We will review those applications in closed session. You do see all of them as they come in each week. You'll get that weekly update of completers. Right now, I checked earlier tonight, right now you have 7 completers, And it's not unusual, kind of starts with a little trickle, and, 2 or 3 a week maybe, and then usually the last week is your influx of applicants, so to speak. So it closes January 25th. The word is out, we're promoting. Once that closes, then February 5th is when Trent will be in to go through all of those applicants with you. And those parts that were in the video will be in play. We'll have the candidates in tiers. Trent and I will be evaluating as they come in and deciding whether we would place candidates in green, yellow, or red tier. And then also there will be what we call a candidate rating table for each candidate, which goes through resume type information as well as confidential references. And then also we're doing license checks and things at that point too. We give you something that we call a disclosure and narrative spreadsheet as well. And the disclosure is there any kind of ding on their license or past experience? Have they ever been asked to leave a job? Have they had any legal problem? That kind of thing. And the narrative is that important answer that they provide, which is why are they a good fit for Southeast Polk Community School District. So you'll get that too in advance of this closed session meeting. Semifinalist interviews. I know there's been some good conversation around that already. Typically, we will do a lot of those by Zoom for half an hour. I know a local preference, which we certainly respect, is to spend a little more time with your semifinalist. So we're planning on an hour and in-person versus Zoom. That might require a second night. We'll go through the dates in a little bit, but Trent and I have our calendars in sync. We'll be able to be here for a second night. And the things you need to think about with that, I'll just plant a couple of seeds with the semifinalist. You do want to treat all of your applicants the same. So if you have an out-of-state person from a long distance, whatever, you're going to want them here in person if we're having them all in person. So just be thinking about that. If there are transportation costs, for example, is that going to be on the district's dime? Doesn't have to be. Could be, but that's something you'd have to communicate with somebody if they're coming from a distance away. So that's just something to think about. The other thing, we are really emphasizing confidentiality in searches. That's more important than ever because the pools are smaller and because frequently your best candidates are people who are doing well in a district right now. They're not on the rebound. They're not desperate for a job. We're recruiting them away from a place that things are going well for a better opportunity here, but they very frequently don't want the word out in their community or with their board. They don't want people to think, well, you'll get applicants where this is the only job they apply for. They're really not looking. And we'll recruit those kind of people for you. But we need to respect their confidentiality because we don't want their relationship with their board or their community to sour. So if we bring them in here in person, again, we'll want to keep that under wraps, I think, respect their confidentiality. Just another thing to think about with that in-person semifinals round. Then the formal interviews, we have those scheduled for February 25th, I believe. We'll go through all the dates in a little bit here. That will be a full day, but a great day. We really pretty strongly believe that it's best to do it all in one day, and it's exhausting, and especially for the board. Everybody gets done interviewing. You saw a quick example of the kind of feedback we give you. We give you so much to consider in making this decision, which is great, and we run an objective process, but it's going to be mentally tiring. So it will be a long day, but we firmly believe it's best to do that in one day rather than bring in 3 candidates over 3 or 4 days. It's more respectful to your people that you have coming in to do the interviewing. The quality of your feedback is better. In a way, I guess it's just kind of ripping off the Band-Aid, getting it done in one day. And as you saw in the video, we do a really good job up front too with the pre-negotiations form, kind of a no surprises approach. I would say almost every search I've worked on, we have had the interviews, we've deliberated, we've gone out of closed session into open session, and the board has empowered the consultant to make an offer to the preferred candidate. Almost always we make a call, we get an acceptance. That's always our goal. So things go right, as we hope. That's a one-day deal for you. and a long, exhausting day, but one day. And then the follow-up planning and support, that's something I'm really proud of the job we do with that. And Trent is very forward-thinking. You saw the Fitting 5 newsletter. He runs applicant insight workshops for aspiring administrators. Our onboarding day in July is great. And we partner with ISFAS on the financial and legislative side. We partner with De Novo on facility planning. We bring them in. We bring other partners in. We walk through our advanced insights reports, and we have our superintendent, our new superintendent, and the school business official come in together, and they both have done those screeners. It's a very valuable day, and we have that scheduled for July 7th, I believe, this coming year. So that's included for every person we help hire. And then it was mentioned in the video too, something that I piloted for us, I guess about 3 years ago now, but we're doing a number of them each year, the facilitated evaluation, where we come in and help the board and superintendent in that first year or beyond if they want, and kind of guide them through an evaluation process. So there's a lot that goes into our process. This timeline, I'm going to skip over this. You have your timeline typed up. It's better than that. And I think we have things pretty well nailed down. This is an example of job posting. We have one out there. We've had some conversation back and forth with Jeannie and Chad and Brett and getting that updated. I don't know, is this the latest one in here? Or have we had an update since this one? Can you tell?
That's the latest one.
Okay, so this is what is being used to market your job. Social media was mentioned. I can tell you Trent is as connected on X and LinkedIn as anybody I've ever seen. He's worked in preparation programs for the superintendency for years. And we do a good job of pushing out this flyer and promoting our jobs. So that's just one thing they look at.
I think the only difference on that one is the 2 dates for February 12th.
Oh, gotcha.
I think we got to
Oh,
decide.
correct, yeah. Yeah, that's
And
right.
the hiring timeline of January, is it 26th or 25th?
Yeah, we do have a couple of
Couple edits.
adjustments to
Right.
make on that, yeah.
Yep, yeah, that's right. The date, it actually closes the 25th, and our candidate screening will do the 12th and 13th, assuming we need 2 days, which is likely. Okay. We pride ourselves in communication. You get it. It's kind of a constant trickle. I went through the meetings you can expect previously. You are going to get the weekly email. They've started. I can't remember who they're going to right now. It's been going to
Yeah,
Chad.
they're coming to me, and I've been passing them along.
Okay,
But
is
we've
that,
gotten
we
2
want to
so
keep,
far.
is that good? Keep using?
Yeah, I think so.
Everybody
Use that
getting them?
conduit? Okay. So each week you will get the hiring update. It usually comes out Monday morning from our office staff, and in that will be the candidate's letter of application, resume, and reference letters. And you can review those kind of as they come in. Some people, make themselves a binder, but we throw them in an electronic folder. If you don't have time to look right now, it's not a problem. You can access that folder anytime. And we like to do it weekly, so you have some time prior to when we come in and present the whole slate. And we also, as a firm, firmly believe you need to see every applicant. And not all applicants are created equal. I mean, you're going to have some variance, but there are some search firms, I think, that they get accused of or maybe give the impression that they have their kind of stable of preferred candidates, that they just move around different places, and that's not our approach at all. We let you see them all as we go, and we'll give you our opinion, and we'll let you know what we know about people, and that's why it's important to do that in closed sessions, so we can be very frank and honest with you, but we think that's important. After the deadline closes, you'll get that spreadsheet that I referred to, which is the candidate narratives and disclosures. That usually comes out just a day or two before we present the whole slate to you. And then we have the meeting that we talked about, the closed session meeting when we review the candidates. At that time, we'll have the candidate rating tables, the tiers, the confidential reference checks. We do social media reports that go back 7 years on the finalist. We run state licensure checks, and we'll talk a little bit about additional background check things here in a minute, too. This is mixed interview teams. I can just comment on here, and we'll go kind of quickly. That's a concept we believe in. People have different thoughts about that. It is nice to get broad-based representation of your stakeholders, and mixed interview groups allow that. But rather than have a whole bunch of little half-hour interviews with, now we're talking to support staff, now we're talking to teachers, now we're talking to administrators, we like to set up mixed groups. And we do that for several reasons. Again, the broad representation. It keeps the applicants honest. Okay, and I've been through this as an applicant, both with mixed teams and with all those little half-hour groups. And I say it keeps them honest because a savvy applicant can talk differently to the support staff than they do to the teachers, than they do to the administrators. And, you know, we are one school community here. And we think that gets reflected in the mixed interview groups, and it keeps them on message and consistent. Now, we do still collect feedback from every single individual that we get to the board, disaggregated by group, so you'll be able to see how the different groups feel about the applicants. But they're interviewing all together. We do the individual feedback, and then after that's done, we also talk with the mixed interview group about strengths, red flags, what's most important to them, that kind of thing. And we will have consultants who are facilitating those mixed interview groups. Trent and I will each have a group if you have two mixed interview groups. And we will give them a little in-service before we interview, just about how to avoid questions with legal risk and how they want the interview to go exactly, a few friendly reminders, and then once that happens, then we're just kind of timekeepers, keep us on schedule. But we believe that's a real strength of the process. That's some work for the district up front, but I think you're already on that. I think you've got that rolling in terms of figuring out who's in some groups.
We've started that conversation.
Okay. This is just the candidate tier thing you saw in the video. We give it to you in green, yellow, red. We do not rank order them. One time we did spend a lot of time quibbling over, okay, who's your number one, your number two? But we found that counterproductive because then sometimes boards put too much weight on who the search firm's number one was, or in the end, it just doesn't matter at this point of the search because you're going to look at, 5 to 8 semifinalists anyway. It really doesn't matter if they're number one or number two at this point. So we stopped doing that. We put them in tiers. Quite frequently, there's somebody in the yellow who maybe they're there because they had a bad reference or they don't have that much experience or something. But something about them really appeals to a board member. That's fine. You can take a look at people in the yellow. There might be people in the green who, yes, they're qualified. We think they could do the job, but you don't want to interview them for some reason. Maybe you know that something happened in Runnels 5 years ago with this candidate, and they just are not going to be a good fit here. There are things that you may know as Southeast Polk people that we don't. So we take no offense. This is something that Trent will work through with you. This is one tool that you'll use that night when he presents the pool. And then hopefully we don't have to spend a lot of time on the red. That just means they're not licensed, or we would not put our name behind them. And hopefully there will not be too many of those in your pool either. This is an example, the candidate summary table we do for each applicant as well. You'll have that the night that you look at the pool. This is a hot topic, obviously. We've had things happen in our state that have shown a spotlight on background checking. So this is an area, I feel like we always did a good job with it, but we have beefed it up a little bit by partnering with a third party now too, just as a second check. So we work with this third degree screening company, and we always do the candidate references. We're pretty careful about reference checking, but now this group will also do national criminal background checks for us. They'll check the license. Even though we're checking the license, they'll check it again. They'll do education verification. We have that social media check I referred to. They'll look at the civil rights records, the sex offender registry. And I think our state also in requiring and facilitating E-Verify, that's going to help. By law, that has to be on the district. That's part of your things that you have to do now. The extra reference check, that is something you can do. I'm working on another search right now, and the HR director is just very used to being involved with that, wants to be involved. And I'm definitely not taking the approach of saying, no, stay away, that's our deal. You know, mine is more the timing of it, because some of these candidates, like I talked about earlier, they want to be anonymous, you know, unless they would advance. So the timing of when you reach out to their board, for example, you know, we're trying to respect. But extra reference checking could happen, and you need to do the National Criminal Background, E-Verify, I-9, all that's on the district. But we're certainly hopeful that any school that we support and help doesn't have to go through some of the things you've seen in the news. We're pretty careful about it. What this does for us by partnering with this other firm is it gets us out in front of it a little sooner too, because some of that stuff would show up when you do your checks, but if we're getting that done a couple weeks before that, if something turns up, maybe we can head it off before they ever become a finalist for you. That would be the hope.
So the licensure check, you guys run that before even the screening interviews, right?
We do.
And then it gets run again here.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, we're checking BO, I mean, that is one nice thing about Board of Educational Examiners, it's pretty easy to run a check in Iowa. So we're doing that, and we put that on that candidate rating table if there was any kind of license issue, like license expires in 1 month, or they're not licensed until fall of 2026 or whatever, 27 or whatever. Yeah, we're doing that at that point. Yep.
And is that just to make sure nothing's happened in between the screening and the?
We just want to make sure we're putting qualified people forward, and, you know, we're putting them in tiers, and if we weren't looking at licensure, I don't think we could realistically say whether they're a green or a yellow or a red. So it's really just, it's a necessary part of the process.
Yeah, I'm good with more the merrier.
Yep. Sample interview schedule, I think there are several in here, and I can't remember if we've already settled on one. I think we talked about maybe.
We haven't said it, but we were kind of close to one. I can't remember which one it was though.
I think it was the one that you have up right
I
now.
think it was this, because I think we talked about providing a meal and kind of easing applicants into it. I believe. So I mean, nothing's binding yet anyway, but these examples are in there for you.
And that one had 2 mixed interview teams plus an additional administrative.
Correct, yeah, and that's a great point, Chad. A district this size, you know, your administrative team is big enough that if you involve lots of administrators in your mixed groups, then, you know, you're taking a lot of slots, so to speak. Those mixed groups, I've facilitated as big as 28. That's pretty big for an applicant to stare down 28 people. And it depends on your space too. Now, this is a nice facility, and I know you've already thought about rooms, reserved rooms, and I think we're going to be in great shape having it here. But ideally, your mixed interview teams are 20, maybe even a little smaller. So separating out some of your administrative roles out of that, I think is a great idea. The only difference here is, you know, sometimes we always have the school board be the last interview, but obviously you're kind of in the mix with other people here, and you're in just a little bit earlier than some other schedules. But I already talked about the long day, and nobody threw me out at that point, so hopefully we'll be okay.
Is that just to wear them down before they get to us, and then we're like?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. No, really, it's just trying to be respectful to our board, because you've got to stick around for a few hours after everybody else, and if we don't have to bring you in till, like one other search I'm doing right now, I don't have to have the board in till 2:45. So, you know, but they're probably going to be there till 9 at night or so. So the schedules, search task, I think, is the last one. That's something we don't need to spend a lot of time on, but you have the slide there. I would just say thank you again. I personally really, I appreciate this work so much, because I may not look like it. I am a grandpa, but I retired relatively young, and I still have a little gas in the tank and want to stay involved. And doing this work lets me continue to work with boards and stay connected with the profession. And we have a lot of people that work for Grunmeyer who are kind of in that same boat, recently retired administrators. And I just think the climate we're in with education and the importance of the superintendent hire, I think we've got a niche where we add a lot of value. But we appreciate your trust in doing that, because I know it's a big decision and a very important thing the board's doing right now. So I thank you for that. Jeannie, would you want to put that timeline? Oh, okay. Do you have questions on anything that I've covered so far? I never really paused for questions, but.
I have one question. You addressed part of it, which is regarding the confidentiality, having a closed process versus open. When it gets to the finalists, say there are 3 finalists, would that be made public, or?
I think that depends on the board's wishes and the community's expectations.
Okay.
And it really does just depend. I would say traditionally, most of the searches we've done, at that point, it has become public who the finalists are. But there's a little bit of a trend to running a bit more of a closed search. The last couple searches I've done, they did not announce the finalist in advance. They only put out the accepted offer. And, word eventually gets out, especially when you use those mixed groups. You can talk about confidentiality, but if you put 3 people in front of, 40 people or more, okay, word will get out, but they're shielded up until that point. Now, I think it's perfectly fine, especially a district like this, if that's your desire, announce the finalist. I mean, I think people are going to be interested. As a board, I think that's really your decision. We'll do whatever you want to do. But I don't think it will be an issue to do that.
Okay.
Really, anybody, I would like to think that boards would be understanding if their sitting superintendent had an opportunity to be a finalist in a district like this. They should understand that, hopefully, and not hold it against their superintendent too. So the answer is probably yes. If you want, definitely yes.
Okay, but that's something we'd have to determine.
Yeah, I think just let us know,
Okay.
if you want your finalist to be public or not.
Do you think that there's a likelihood, I would say chance, but there's always a chance, that if you did that, even at that late stage, that you would have people that would back out? Or do you think at that point, most candidates would understand that I'm a finalist for this role, people are going to hear about it?
Yeah, we're talking to candidates along the way too, every step. So I think we're going to have a pretty good feel if they're having any misgivings about that. I want to say no, it wouldn't happen, that they wouldn't just withdraw for that reason. Like you said, I suppose there's always a chance. More likely, it might keep 1 or 2 from applying in the first place, if they knew that. If they asked, is this a confidential search, we'd say yes, right up to the point we announce finalist. And then they'd have to make that decision, if that was going to be a deal breaker for them. But again, we're talking about a matter of just a few days too. I mean, you'll be announcing your finalists probably just a couple of days before your interviews. It's a pretty tight time frame. And part of that too is just so that the world we live in, that people have a little less time to go just pick apart all your finalists too, like they will do. And again, we will thoroughly vet. We're not going to try to bring you finalists that have skeletons in their closet or that you have to worry about, any kind of public sentiment. But there will be somebody somewhere along the line that, has a cousin in this town who doesn't like that finalist. And once your finalists get announced, people will, because they're interested, they'll start, evaluating the finalist on their own too. But that's just the nature of the beast. So, other questions I can answer for you? Anything you're uncomfortable with, questioning, wondering about?
No, we'll lock in those dates.
Yeah, let's just talk about the dates. I think we're in really good shape. Your survey is out, going well. Will be back to us soon. That closes the 9th and will get to us by the 12th. We'll create that survey report that you saw a representation of in the video. That's something I think both Trent and I will be down the 22nd to go over that survey report with you.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to bring up is on the 22nd, we'll have a regular board meeting
Yep.
like we did tonight. We'll go through the survey results. I'm kind of wondering if the selection criteria and the questions for the interview might be a little bit too heavy for that
Okay.
one session.
Yeah,
And so I'm just throwing out the idea of making that maybe a separate work session that we do, whether it's a different night or
Sure.
a Saturday or something like that.
yeah, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, and it's always a little tricky too, because that's not, you can't go into closed session for that. And depending on the amount of interest, I don't know if you actually want to go through the exact questions, prior to any kind of interview. It's more us knowing, and your survey report will suggest to us what the community, the stakeholders think are the top priorities. But we don't just take that and run with it until we talk to the board and make sure, because, your relationship with the superintendent's different than the community's. There might be something that's a community priority that is a little farther down your list, or they might have missed something. So that's really the reason for that January 22nd meeting. I think we can have that conversation. I don't think we need to spend time on questions that night. I think that's fine.
Okay.
So that might be, you may want to make, this is a public document, you might want to make that adjustment if we're not going to do that night. Take that off there. Then you see applications closing the 25th, like we talked about. February 5th, that'll be Trent's time with you to review that whole list of applicants. I would, if I weren't getting back from Haiti late February 4th, and if that weren't my wife's birthday, I would promise that I would be here too, but I think I'm going to be gone February 5th. And then we've already updated the 12th and the 13th, those screening interviews. And again, we'll keep those 2 days open. If you end up with only wanting to screen 5 or 6, you might not have to have a second night. We can talk more about that as we go, but we'll keep those 2 dates for that. And then the 19th, yeah, that's kind of in between those 2 stages, but we can have a progress report ready for you there. We should be ready for our finalist by the 19th. If you're screening the 12th, 13th, and getting down to your preferred finalist, we should have them locked up and ready to go by the 19th, I hope. Let's see. And I think we've kind of talked about that interview day already, how we hope that goes. So dates are set, things are rolling, applicants are coming in. I feel pretty good about where you're at. You have, as I said earlier, 7 in the hopper right now. You'll have more. Our average here lately has been around 14, but 2 searches I've been around already this year have been better than that, 19, 20. You have the advantages of being great district, high compensation, great location. But I will tell you too that some applicants will self-select themselves out because they just don't feel they're ready. I mean, you're going to get some high-quality applicants is what you want. So, anything else I can do for you tonight, or I might have talked enough. I'm losing my voice. Feel like we're in a good place.
Yeah, just a reminder to the board, make sure, start working on, if you haven't done it, your 8 to 10 people that you'd like to see on the committees. If you can get those to Ched or I. When do we want those? Probably by end of January?
Yeah, I think so. Then we'll need to sort through those and get, you said, up to 20 maybe per group, and we want to make sure that we're getting them across different, categories of people, right?
Yep, for sure.
And that can be community and staff, or just if you have ideas of people that you want, we'll kind of pick. That's your list.
You've got my cell and email there too. If something comes up, reach out. Otherwise, look for our weekly communications too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Art.
Thanks, appreciate it.
All right.
Motion
to adjourn?
adjourn.
Second.
Okay. We're adjourned.